What is up, YouTube? Today I'm bringing you some very special content. I had my Monday League captain subscribe to my Patreon at the highest level and request a video specifically including Mudang. I had no idea how to do this at first, but they actually gave me this fantastic idea for this video that definitely is just here to get clicks and not really to be for anything informational at all. But we're gonna get into it anyway. I am ranking all of the pinball animals that I could think of in the moment based on how cool they are, how much I'd want to hang out with them. This is gonna be a goofy, silly, stupid little video. Mudang will in fact be the hippo from Congo, and I will be referring to it as such to fulfill my contract with the Patreon. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm just gonna make this quick. It's gonna be stupid. Let's get into it. You can't see everything. I don't even care. We're gonna go. They're gonna be revealed as time goes on. It's gonna be fun. Bad Cats. Let's talk about the cats from Bad Cats. This is a Williams game. I'm not referring to any cat in particular, just the cats in general, just all of the cats. The whole entire game is about cats. Every time you hit a shot, there's a meow. It's a little annoying. There's a spinner inside with a lady chasing after the cat with a broom. You know, it's an interesting theme, and by interesting, I mean kind of boring. I don't think that the cats really contribute. There's no cat that I remember specifically from this game. It's just kind of the theme. So I have my standards here. At the top, I have make merch now. This is something that I would buy a shirt of immediately if it released, because I am obsessed with this thing. And all the way at the bottom, we got Harshing the Vibe. This is an animal that I do not trust. I would not want to be in the same room with. It is not a good vibe. Bad Cats, somewhere in the middle. I think that because it's called Bad Cats, they have to exist. A game like this has to exist. I'm not mad at it. I think that the theme is alright. The game itself isn't that great. I'm not ranking based on the game, though. I think Bad Cats is just a general cat-themed pinball. A little fun. It's alright. If I see it, I'm like, that's cute. Centaur. This is interesting because Centaur is an animal in mythology, but the Centaur game is actually half man and half motorcycle. Didn't know whether to include this, and then I decided for how stupid this video is gonna be, I'm gonna include it anyway. So, half man, half motorcycle, third man, third motorcycle, third centaur looking guy. I mean, you cannot deny that Centaur, the logo and the art style of this game is fucking cool. Would I hang out with him? Probably once to hear his stories, like at a bar or something like that. It's definitely not a has to exist, because it really didn't have to exist. It exists and it shouldn't have, and I think that's awesome. Would I buy a shirt with Centaur on it? Not my thing, but I would hang out with Centaur. I would definitely hear his bar stories and have a good time with that. Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is the creature that is underneath the glass. What a cool addition. Definitely, okay, immediately, not kinda lame. Doesn't have to exist. They really didn't need to do a creature machine, and it's not about the movie, it's about drive-in theaters in general. Creature is pretty cool. I would hang out with Creature, I think. Would I buy a Creature shirt? I think I would. I think I would buy a Creature shirt. But I think there's stuff that's gonna rank higher. I'm gonna leave him a would hang out with. I think Creature is a pretty cool dude. He's in Monster Bash too, and he's jamming with Muck in that game. But yeah, would hang out with. This is just the general Creature vibe. I think it's cool that has such a big representation in pinball of that era. Congo Gorilla. This is the mean gorilla. This is the gorilla underneath the glass that you fight. And I think it's just Gray Gorilla. Gray Gorilla is really cool. Gray Gorilla would hang out. I'm realizing that would hang out with doesn't really make sense in this context, but you know what? I would hang out with Gray Gorilla. I know he'd probably beat the living life out of me, but I'm gonna hang out with him. I think that's really cool. Let's keep flowing. No thinking. Alright, we got Mudang now. Mudang the hippo in Congo. And the thing I really like about it is that it always yells hippo at you whenever you're in the pops. That's very fun. Not many games will just yell an animal's name at your face. Is it as cool as the gorilla in the game? Absolutely not. The pops are not as important as the underside of the playfield. Actually, when you're in the pops, you're kind of sad because it's a drain hazard and, like, you know, you're not getting anything out of it. I think it has to exist because it's in the movie. But, you know, I like being... The cool thing about it is when he yells hippo at you. That's very fun. Deadpool. We got the Megalodon from Deadpool. This is the quest that I pick the least of the two. I'm usually going T-Rex. I know people have a preference. I think that visually, the Megalodon quest, so when you pick it, you're just Deadpool in the middle of the water and you see a fin come up every once in a while, and when you hit a shot, I think the shark jumps up. Pretty cool, would hang out with, yeah. I cannot deny that. And then when you finish it, you jump into the shark's mouth and blow it up or rip a tooth out or something like that. I think that's pretty sick, but I think the cooler one is in fact the T-Rex. Now normally I would like sea animals more than dinosaurs. We're gonna see a lot of dinosaurs on this list. We're actually gonna see a few, we're gonna get to Jaws too, so we're gonna see some more fish and sharks as well. But I think that just like the visuals immediately when you pick this quest is really cool. The T-Rex is just full speed running at you. It's just a hurry up mode, makes perfect sense. And you know, at the end you rip his tooth out, and this is really grisly visual. I think that's super cool. Make merch now. Now again, these rankings don't really make sense, because would I be caught wearing a Deadpool shirt out in public? Probably not. I think that's it's just not me, you know what I mean? But I do think that if I just got the T-Rex from Deadpool, I would get a shirt of it. And finally, I got a little throwaway here that I just thought of and I would just include because you see it all the time. The unicorn from Deadpool in the ball save animation. Let's be honest, this is kind of lame, and it's not even because it's like goofy or a unicorn, so it's like dreamy or girly or anything like that. I think that the idea is really cool. It is ugly as sin. Honestly, it kind of harshes the vibe. I mean, look at that face. I don't know if you can see it very well from your side, but if you zoom in on that face, that is a ugly unicorn. Would not want to be in a room with that unicorn for sure. That unicorn has seen things, and I don't want to hear about it. Fishtails. This is the monster fish from Fishtails. Monster fish from Fishtails lets out a huge roar once you hit enough ramps. It's probably the most prominent feature of the game, except Rock the Boat, maybe. Everyone knows that you're trying to get to at least one monster fish every game. I think that the monster fish is also super sick. I would definitely get a shirt with the monster fish on it. There is another translate as well that has a much meaner, grislier looking fish on it. Also super sick. Love to see it. Just everything about it, so cool. Okay, for Godzilla, because this is such a popular game, I thought I would break it up a little bit, so I'm going to go through all of the 4 core modes you can take in the beginning, as well as Godzilla himself. So let's start with Ebra. Ebra, from a gameplay perspective, is not a mode that people take very much because it's the spinner one, but it is a large crustacean. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know anything about the original Godzilla, so I don't know if what the power levels of these creatures are or anything. If I'm gonna compare and contrast them to each other, for right now, Ebra is kind of middle of the pack for me. Maybe even, yeah, I'm gonna keep it middle of the pack. Again, not thinking of gameplay, I just think that like a big crustacean is kind of like, you're phoning it in a little bit, but it's still cool. Gigan, look at that guy. I know Gigan's a lot of people's first pick for like mode, but like dude looks derpy. Dude does not look good. He looks like sickly and needs help. It's just kind of lame, you know what I mean? Like all the other ones have something really specific about them, and Gigan's just kind of like a smaller dragon monster than Godzilla, so I'm not giving it the credit. I think it's kind of lame. Megalon, what the hell is this guy? This guy's got drills for hands, and he's just a cooler Gigan. I don't know if y'all see that, but I think that it's just a cooler, sicker Gigan. I would hang out with Megalon. I think Megalon's pretty cool. Titanosaurus, also looking a little derpy, I'm gonna be honest. Less derpy than Gigan. Gigan just looks like a plastic toy. Titanosaurus here at least looks like he's a little bit more animal, but he's still kind of lame. I'm gonna put him in kind of lame. That's my first pick for modes, but you know, I'm going for points, not for coolness. Now we got Godzilla himself. Contrary to popular belief, I think that Godzilla is not the coolest creature in the world. I think there's a lot of renditions, but I almost feel like the fact that it's this kitschy, kind of silly thing at this point makes it cool, if that makes sense. It's supposed to be a little stupid. And I know I just put these other two in kind of lame because they look stupid, but Godzilla, you're playing as Godzilla, you're the main character. Godzilla is fighting all these guys in the machine. Yeah, Godzilla has to exist. He's just existed forever, so yeah, has to exist. I will order these once I get to the end, but we'll get there. I'm moving quick fire here. We got the dragon from Game of Thrones. This is the Targaryen dragon, I believe it is. Again, I've not seen Game of Thrones, and you can probably yell at me in the comments for that. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm gonna take a little pause here. We're back, guys. No more disruptions. We're getting back into the action here for this very important YouTube video. I believe last time I was talking about the dragon, the Targaryen from Game of Thrones. So let's get back into that. Dragon from Game of Thrones is an important part of the show, I believe. Like I said previously, I have not really seen the show, so I couldn't tell you for sure, but every time I think about Game of Thrones, I think about families and I think about dragons. It's gotta be pretty important. The shot on the game, however, is a very difficult shot. Again, not gonna use the game to describe the coolness of the animal, but I do think it's kind of important in this context because you're not really ever aiming for the dragon, which makes it make the sounds and gives it the focus. The only time you do it is for the battle for the wall, so it's just not really what I think of when I think of Game of Thrones, the pinball game. I mean, like, thematically, like, when I look at Game of Thrones pinball game, I don't really think of anything in particular except for, like, the shields, maybe. But I guess the dragon would be second best. Dragon's pretty cool. I think 5-6-year-olds find dragons very cool. I think it's just a has to exist for me. They had to include a Targaryen, so they had it there. And I believe it was a code update that it became a family. Like, it wasn't even in the game when it first came out. So to me, that's a has to exist exactly. This looks like just a tarantula, but I dug deep, and for whatever reason, my brain came up with the James Bond 007 pinball machines tarantula mode, which is one of those time modes that comes up in the middle, like after you hit a certain stand-up or something like that, enough stand-ups. All I know about this mode is that you hear the sound going on, and it's just like, it's telling you to hit certain shots. Again, this is quick fire, didn't do any research on this, so this is all my memory can tell you about this mode. I like getting into these modes. I know they're not worth a whole lot, but it like changes up the formula of the game a little bit, because the game can be a little dry and cut when you're just doing the villain missions and the whatever other missions and just getting multi-balls all the time. So I like having like one where the lights come down and this starts happening. But I mean, like, important to the game, absolutely not. Our tarantula is cool. They can be, but is it an important part of the game? Kind of not. So I'm gonna say they're kind of lame, but I do think that like from the perspective of gameplay, it's cool. But I mean, it's just tarantulas in the 007 movie. They're scarier things for sure. It's like putting quicksand on this list. Like, it's gonna go in kind of lame. Jaws shark, very important one. This is something that I mean, it's the focus point of Jaws, because the shark is literally Jaws. The shark pops out from underneath the boat, which is a cool feature on the premium at least. And I mean, like, there's sharks on the playfield, there's sharks on the screen in the back. There is, I mean, everyone was disappointed that it didn't eat the ball, but in the premium it kind of does, because when the boat comes back down, it will literally eat the ball for 5 seconds, which is very annoying, but let's call it a feature, right? Is Jaws cool? Yeah, Jaws is cool. Jaws is a theme that I was excited for, and I don't even care for the original movie like some people do. But I think it's just so iconic that it was crazy that it hadn't been made yet. I would hang out with Jaws. I think that thematically super sick. I think that like it was a long time coming, and have it like you immediately have everything. It's like a Jurassic Park pinball machine. It just makes sense. You have a theme, you have a villain, which is this creature that you can build into the playfield. Super cool. Jaws is awesome. We got the dog from Junkyard. This obviously is the promo picture, not the dog in the game for the video modes. But both are this type of dog, so we're just gonna roll with it. I thought originally, because I don't like Junkyard the game like at all, I thought originally this was gonna go in kinda lame, but I'm looking at that dog's face right now in the promo picture, and again, I'm assuming this is what they emulated it after. That dog is adorable. I mean, the dog doesn't have a specific name, because depending on who has the high score for the video modes, will change the initials on the dog's little collar. So doesn't have a name. That does bring it down from like a make merch now. So it's not super sellable, right? Is it the most important part of the game? I'd say the crane's the most important part in the game, but the dog is kind of like every side, because there's like a van in that game as well, but the dog's definitely more important than the van. There's a toilet. We don't talk about that. I'd hang out with this dog. This is a cute dog. I love this dog. Let's keep it rolling. How many times am I going to say let's keep it rolling in this video? Jurassic Park T-Rex. I know there's a lot of dinosaurs in this game. This is the one I picked because it's the mech in the game, and it's also like a lot of people point it out as a really cool toy because now everyone wants the newer games to do something similar, where in the premium the dinosaur will literally pick up the ball, eat the ball, and then throw it onto the playfield, which is cool. I think that the T-Rex in the movie is a very important scene, and it's kind of like all building up to that. Is the T-Rex the coolest thing in the game? Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's, I mean, nothing else compared. Honestly, when I think I'm putting it at the top. Let me think about this for a second. T-Rex is just your traditional, like, when you think of dinosaurs, T-Rex is the first one to come to mind. So it makes sense that it was the big centerpiece. Jurassic Park game is cool, but only because of the T-Rex, I feel like. The rest of the playfield doesn't really... The control room, not cool. The amber shot, I mean, like, cool to hit, but thematically not cool. The T-Rex is the cool thing about this game. It's why people buy it. So it has to be make merch now, right? So sick. Looney Tunes, and this is Spooky's Looney Tunes, and I'm going to go with just the general Looney Tunes, meaning the characters, because there's so many animals in here. I didn't want to separate them all out because I'm lazy. But you got Bugs, you got Daffy Duck, you got other animals. Those are the two main ones. I'm not going to count the alien in the back, but like, so is Looney Tunes cool? To a modern market, no. But again, this is one of those themes where I'm thinking like, it's crazy that this hasn't been made yet. I think that like in terms of theme, I'd prefer Looney Tunes to a Texas Chainsaw Massacre if I were to own it. I haven't tried a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've only played Looney Tunes, but I mean, like, do I personally think it's like really cool? Not really. I don't think anyone does think it's really cool, but I do think that it makes sense that it exists. It has to. Has to exist, the Looney Tunes pinball machine. There was a Bugs Bunny birthday bash, but that game sucked. We're not going to talk about it. We're moving on to the Metallica Snake. This is such a weird one, because is the snake the most important shot in the game? Probably not. You're thinking about Sparky, you're thinking about the crosses, you're thinking about the scoop. Snake is secondary to all that. I would even argue that people think about the hammer lock shot before the snake, but the snake is always the last thing you need to get in order to get to the crank it up mode. And that snake, when you just shoot it in, it hisses at you, it shoots it back. So iconic to the Metallica game. Can you imagine that game without a snake? I really don't think that the game would feel the same without that shot. It's just so like, what if it was just a scoop that shot it back at you, no sound? So much character in this game would be lost. I love it. This is a make merch now for me, and I cannot explain it. It's just something that I find endearing and cool, and I know it's part of like their whole brand is like snakes and all this, like, you know, mythological, like the hammer and everything, but I mean, like, just to integrate it in that way where it's such a simple thing, but it works so well. And I mean, like, I think it's sick. Snake tattoos are sick. I would get a tattoo of that snake. Mousing around. Again, I'm just going to talk about the general mice. Now let's compare it to Bad Cats, right? Because if Bad Cats is the cats game, Mousing Around is the mouse game. I think Mousing Around is a little bit better of a theme, and it sticks to it a little bit better. When I think of Bad Cats, I think that they just kind of went for meowing and how it's like this house vibe, like you're being chased, or you're chasing mice, I think, in Bad Cats. I don't actually know what that game is about. You hit shots, there's meows, you get points, and you just repeat shots. Mousing Around, there's a cheese theme, so the mice are almost like parallel with this cheese theme, because every time you want to chase the cheese leathers, you're not chasing anything that is like directly mice, so you are the mice, and I think that's cool. There is a what we call in the scene the sexy mouse in the top right, which is very funny to me. It's almost like a parody of the way that they made like these like sexy characters on Pinball. It's almost like a parody of that. I don't know if they went for a parody. I don't know if they were just going like, oh, well, we just need something sexy, and they slapped it out there. But I think it's hilarious every time I see it. I think in the modern context, people view it as kind of funny instead of like something that's just like, ooh, actually. So I think that slaps. I would hang out with mousing around. I think that's super cool. I love the you know, the mice are being chased by the humans and you are the mice. That's super cool. The Gophers from the, oh my god, what is the name of the whole game? Gopher. Oh my god, what is this game called? Hold up, I gotta take a pause. It is called No Good Gophers. I am so sorry for the brain fart. It's just 2 more words before Gophers. Don't know why I couldn't think about it. No Good Gophers. There is another Gopher game that is not by the same company, but this is probably the more prominent one. They do have names. They say each other's names in the game. Or am I thinking about when they call you names? Because he says, go pound some sand, Spud, and maybe they don't say each other's names. No, they definitely do. They definitely say each other's names. So they have names. I'm gonna put them on text on the screen. Either way, what are these guys cool? No, not at all. These guys suck. These guys are annoying, and it's on purpose, but it doesn't make it better. Would I hang out with these guys? Absolutely not. They're there to bully and to demean. They're harsh in the vibe. The game itself is fine. The game is kind of funny. But do I think the Gophers are cool? Absolutely not. They are disruptive and a terror, and I will not be silenced on this. Paragon Lion. This is a classic, so it's not really integrated into the gameplay at all. It is just this backglass with this man riding this flying lion that is eating or attacking this woman. Whatever the case is, it's some mythological garbage. This lion is such an important part of this backglass, and I think it's actually like a really for a wide body, it just like presents itself so big, and the lion is immediately the part of the art that's the most interesting. I guess it's the beast, because they're in the bottom left of Paragon. You have that pop, which is the beast slayer that you can drain out of pretty easily, so I guess this is the beast. Sick name then. Much cooler than lion. Make merch now. This is one of the coolest animals in pinball. Flying lion, sign me up. Party animals. I'm just gonna say in general the party animals, there's been a couple games including them. Party Zone is a game that has the party animals in it, and but their original game Party Animals is just about the animals. Do I think these guys are cool? Absolutely not. I don't even think they're a good representation of the time they came out. They're not a good representation of the 80s slash like late 80s, early 90s. They're just kind of like not. They're kind of fratty. Wouldn't trust these guys with a drink. Wouldn't trust these guys to hang out with, to watch my house or anything like that. They're harsh in the vibe. I think party animals are not cool. They are lame. They think they're really cool, which makes them not cool. Pool sharks. These are just sharks in suits that are playing pool. Super simple concept. Do they come up thematically in the game? Not really. It's, again, not a game that has a big theme outside of pool, but they just decided to throw some sharks on there to make it a little fun. I think it's one of the better attempts to make a game about pool, because there's so many of those in pinball. Kind of fun. I don't prefer this game to other pool games, but do I admire their attempt? Yeah. Definitely doesn't have to exist. I think that's crazy, because again, wouldn't have to exist. I'm thinking about making like a special little category for this that I might slip some other ones into. How do I add? Uh-oh, I am screwing everything up. Okay, how do I add a row above? There you go. We're gonna add a row above. Let me make it like, we're gonna keep that yellow. This one's gonna be oh geez. This one's gonna be like purple or pink or something like that, and I'm gonna call it, because pool sharks, I don't know if I'd hang out with them, but they also don't have to exist. I'm gonna call it like a cool attempt. And I think there's some other things that can go in here too, because pool sharks are gonna go in there. What are the other things that definitely didn't have to exist? I'm gonna put centaur in there. I think it's a cool attempt, or like cool character that I would not hang out with. No hangouts. Wow, this is a mess. All right, what? So yeah, Bad Cats is less. Hippo. None of. Or who's a cool character that I would not hang out with? I'll throw Godzilla out there too. It's a cool character I'm not hanging out with. Yeah, I think that's fine. Alright. Yeah. Scooby-Doo. So this is from the Spooky Scooby-Doo. It's funny because Scooby-Doo might be one of the least important parts of this game. You pick a character in the beginning, and Scooby isn't one of the prominent characters that people tend to pick. This game's kind of about the villains more than the crew, which is interesting, because you're going after the modes, which are the villains. It has to exist or above, because Scooby-Doo should have been a pinball machine for years. Is Scooby a cool character? Absolutely. Would I hang out with Scooby? Absolutely, actually. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna throw that up there. Drop down. Alright, I moved the Congo Gorilla down too. I'm gonna reorganize this a lot, but I'm just doing, like, my brain is just full fire right now. Bringing up the Stranger Things Demogorgon. This is kind of the prominent part of the game. You could go the whole game without ever revealing this if you wanted to. Some people do that, they just go bonus all day. But it's dead center. They definitely expect you to see this if you're playing it casually. And you can pop it in its mouth, and that kills it. That's really cool. I mean, like, the reveal is really cool. Stranger Things, the Demogorgon's a really important villain. I think it's more so that the game makes this cool rather than the Demogorgon itself is really cool. But it's definitely a cool character. It's definitely a cool part of the game. Like, it's a core part of the game, and honestly, it's one of the things that makes the game cool itself. Because I'm thinking about the Pro. The art on the Pro is kind of not all that, and this is like the reveal. So it has to be above, has to exist. It makes the game cool. Anything that makes the game cool, I'm putting up here. Yeah, okay, no, not cool character. Makes the game cool, but it itself is not cool in a vacuum. Let's say that. Turtles. I'm going with all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know enough about them individually to do them separately, so I'm in a pinball vacuum. Are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cool? Again, this is a game where you pick a character off rip. And they all have different personalities. One's a little nerdy, one's always high, one's like the leading character. You know, one's sporty or like broy, I think. Maybe that's the one that's always high. Whatever it is. Maybe there's a friendly one. That would make sense. Are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cool? Yeah. Again, not really my thing, but like, definitely on par with Looney Tunes. They're cooler than Looney Tunes as characters. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave them has to exist. They could be bumped up later. Toy Story 4, we got 3 animals here. We got Ham the pig from Toy Story 4, and for these, I'm just gonna pull them all in right now. For these 3 characters, I'm just going entirely off of vibe, right? Because like, they add nothing to Toy Story 4 the game. They are just characters you can collect if you finish a mode. They don't add anything, so they're not making the game cool. So I'm just going entirely off of just like what my heart tells me. I'm shaking hands with Ham. Is Ham a cool guy? Ham's cool. I would hang out with Ham. Yeah. Rex. Ham is like the normal dad vibe. Rex is kind of like a nervous wreck. I would not want to hang out with Rex. Rex is kind of lame, but I think that like he would be okay with that. Like, Rex is fully okay with being lame as long as he's doing everything safely. Then we got Slinky. Slinky's cool as hell. Slinky is a make merch now. Slinky will be like, hey, I know we just met, but we're best friends now, and you should come to my party kind of vibe. I love that. That's super cool. Whitewater, we have Bigfoot, and Bigfoot looks creepy as hell. It is designed after one of the people that worked on it. I don't know if it was the designer himself. I used to know the story to this. The guy's face is just someone at Williams that worked on the game. It might have been the designer, but horrifying, not cool. I mean, like, it is cool. All right, let me I was gonna make a joke that it was just like absolutely not cool because of how creepy it is, but it's definitely not lame. It makes the game cool, right? Like, Whitewater is just about rafting, or you know, whitewatering, and then you just got this Bigfoot guy. He makes the game cool. Yeah, absolutely. No matter how ugly his face is, he's got to be ugly. He's Bigfoot. And finally, we have Doggy Soccer, World Cup Soccer. Probably it was the first thing that came to my mind when I thought about animals in pinball, because no one calls this World Cup Soccer where I'm from. We all call it Doggy Soccer, and we all love it. The history of this is kind of crazy. It's the reason that the dog is the logo is because the dog was the logo of the year that they made this game after for the soccer finals. It's such a goofy, like 2K, like Y2K looking guy. He looks like a cereal mascot. That's cool as hell. I think that like it just screams nostalgia, but not for like these 80s and 90s games. It screams nostalgia for a different era that is just like the beginnings of animation, and like they were just like, yeah, just make a dog and make him stand and play soccer. That's so funny to me. I love it. Let's go through and be a little tighter about this. I mean, like, immediately I'm saying World Cup Soccer is at the top. Doggy Soccer is one of my favorite logos of all time. Dino, T-Rex, or Monster Fish? I think Monster Fish is cooler. T-Rex or T-Rex? This is a battle for the ages. I mean, you gotta give it to Jurassic Park T-Rex. Is T-Rex cooler than the Monster Fish? I'm gonna say no. I think Monster Fish is more iconic to me. And just like a roaring fish. Super great. Deadpool T-Rex versus the Snake from Metallica. Snake from Metallica I like better. Do I like it better than the Jurassic Park one? I do, but I don't think it's cooler. Paragon Lion versus the... maybe the Deadpool T-Rex goes down the tier. Paragon Lion versus the Snake. It's probably a little cooler than the Snake. Not cooler than the T-Rex. Slinky. Okay, this is where things get run into problems with my ranking because of how ridiculous this is. Thus stops making sense. Is Slinky cooler than T-Rex from Deadpool? I don't think I can give it that to him. Is Creature cooler than the dog? No. Yeah. Alright, Slinky's coming down. Slinky's coming down to here. Megalodon. Okay, brain off. Just keep going. Megalodon cooler than Slinky. I kind of think it's funny that Slinky would be cooler than Megalodon. I'm gonna keep it that way. Is Megalon cooler than Megalodon? This is the Megas. No. Is Jaws cooler than Megalodon? Thematically, yes. But, like, visually, I mean, just look at these two. I mean, like, this is how Megalodon shows up in Godzilla, and this is how Jaws shows up in his game. Like, Megalon looks cooler. The dog versus Jaws, dog not beating that. Mousing around versus the dog, mouse not as cool as the dog. Scooby-Doo versus Mousing around. I mean, Scooby-Doo is an IP that everyone loves, so Mousing around has to come down. Ham versus Mousing around, not standing up to the mice craziness. Ham versus Centaur. That's so funny. You know, Ham's a stand-up guy. I'm gonna leave him there. Pool Sharks versus Centaur. Centaur's so much cooler. No, Centaur's so cool, dude. It's gotta be Ham, and Ham's gonna come down to mix the game. That's not even true, though. I would hang out with Ham. We'll leave that there. Pool Sharks, Godzilla. Godzilla's cooler. Congo versus Pool Sharks. Congo's cooler. Demogorgon versus Demogorgon's cooler. Bigfoot versus Pool Sharks. Pool Sharks are cooler. Bigfoot is not that cool. Definitely cooler than Bad Cats though. And then we got Hippo. Hippo is cooler than Bad Cats. I'm sorry. Ebra versus Bad Cats. Ebra is way cooler than. Is it cooler than Hippo? Yeah, it's definitely cooler than Hippo. I'm gonna put them up here. And then we got Dragon versus Bad Cats. Cooler than Bad Cats. Is it cooler than Hippo? Funnily enough, I like Hippo being yelled at me more than the Dragon chat. Looney Tunes versus Bad Cats. I think Bad Cats is cooler just because it's not an original IP, and they're both like equal in my mind in terms of coolness. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cooler than Looney Tunes, I said. Is it cooler than Bad Cats? Yeah. Is it cooler than Dragon? No. Looney Tunes versus Titanosaurus. Titanosaurus looks derpy as hell in this. He's not as cool as Looney Tunes here. And Gigan looks even derpier. If Tarantula is cooler than Titanosaurus and Gigan, I think it is because it makes that creepy sound while the tarantulas are out, which is, you know, 1-to-1. I don't know what I'm saying right now. Rex versus Gigan. Rex is lame. Does Rex harsh the vibe? Rex doesn't harsh the vibe. I think Rex would just be a bad hang, but you could hang with him. The unicorn you could not hang with. The gophers, at least you could like interact with them. That unicorn is screwed up, man. And the party animals, I mean, like they harsh the vibe, but at least they're trying to bring a vibe, right? Let's do something like let's do something like that. Yeah, that's my final to this ridiculous animal pinball coolness ranking tier list. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much to Adam Robinson for bringing this idea to my mind and potentially either boosting my views times 10 million or ruining my pinball channel forever. I'm releasing this whether or not I like the final edit, so enjoy. Patreon, I got a Jurassic Park tutorial coming up. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm going to give a shout out to my Patreons at the end, so don't miss that. If you have any other crazy, stupid ideas, just leave them in the comments. Maybe I'll pick one up and just run with it, because I feel like being goofy. I feel like being goofy. Let's do it. I love you guys. I love pinball. I know you guys do too, so subscribe if you want more. Leave a like if you thought this was ridiculous. Have a great day, guys.